While this video was originally intended for my magic students and also any people who are interested in more the performance and presentation side of magic, as I took a look at this, I realized a lot of this has to deal with the psychology of communication and can apply to anything in life. Not only magic, but anybody who wants to communicate with human beings in order to exist as a member of this planet society, which is most of us. And especially this one, I think, because it talks about being aware of the appropriateness of what you say, the way you say it in relation to your setting, the situation, and the context of what's going on, as well as being aware of the people that you're communicating with. So you don't have to be performing a magic trick. I feel for anyone who's interested in upping their game in terms of communication skills, this also falls in that category. All right, enjoy. Hello everyone, I'm Ryan Hayashi. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Magic, where I talk about the real magic, which is message, motivation, and meaning. So it's all one channel. If you're watching this, I appreciate those of you who do enjoy my rants coming straight from here and here to there, minimal editing, just because I have minimal video editing skills. So this will be the second of this new series on my channel, Behind the Magic, where I talk about magic, not just performing magic. My psychological damage magic series will be performing magic tricks, pretty much to amuse myself as much as everybody else. The Let's Learn Karate or the Hayashi Dojo Karate video lesson series will deal with the karate. I just realized I'm selfie mode. This is one of the first videos where I'm basically I'm in casual mode. No suit and tie this time. I'm just on my way to work out, so I'm kind of dressed like a bum, but that's all right. And the idea behind this new series is not to teach magic tricks, because so many other people already do that. Rather, for those people who are interested enough in magic to invest time, energy, and practice into learning how to do magic, I want to talk about those less discussed aspects of performance magic. How to make magic look like magic. What I always consider the real magic. Okay, and the topic today is knowing your audience. Now, we are all, as of this recording, what's today? Is it 24th? Yeah. June 24th, 2002. Correction, 2020, not 2002. Apparently, I got so confused I couldn't read the numbers I was seeing in my own head. 2020. 24th, 2002, still within the coronavirus lockdown. Everybody's in a strange headspace. You know, people are worried about work and these are a couple of examples that I used to bring up when the world was still normal to my magic students at Hayashi Magic Academy. And they illustrate how you have to understand who you're performing for. Now, one of my European magician colleagues, who this is some years ago now, a good decade ago, told me a story about performing at, I believe it was in Germany, Europa Park, the Europe Park, which is like a Disney World, one of Europe's larger fun amusement parks. He was hired for a season, did a magic show, and told me the story that afterward, or in the middle of the performance, and you know, this is like open stage. He could not choose who came in, who walked up, and who was first row next to the stage. But he happened to notice one young lady, or he described as sort of a girl, right up front row, who was staring at him confused the whole time. In the middle of the show, actually broke in a tear, started crying, and just ran out of the show. And but he took note of this group of people that this young lady was with, found somebody afterwards and just checked, is everything all right with that young lady? She seemed upset. And it turned out this was a group of people with disabilities, and this one young lady who ended up crying was had grown up with learning disabilities, so that her rate of learning was slower than average, or what is often referred to as mentally retarded. And I wasn't there when this happened. And this colleague asked me, wow, I kind of felt bad, and I just checked on her and was hoping she was all right. But why would she end up crying? I'm not sure, but my first theory could be, without interviewing this person, without being there or being able to check out security tapes, I would assume growing up without the ability to understand what you're seeing at the same rate as everybody else could, now I'm only imagining this, I don't have this in my life, could make a person feel left out, disadvantaged, kind of sad. And having people around you react to visual events, jokes, whatever, a certain rhythm of communication with laughter or applause when you're still trying to figure out what it was that is going on, might have made this person feel bad in that situation. And magic, if that was the case, magic would compound this, because impossible events are happening, which, if it's performed cleanly, nobody in the audience can understand. Now, like watching a science fiction movie or Star Wars, the viewers know you're not seeing actual space and actual lasers and actual spacecraft flying through space. And most of the audience knows objects are not really transforming or disappearing. So that came to mind when I talk about bearing in mind who you're performing for. Another case I'd like to talk about was actually my very first magic student, who I took on 16 years ago now in 2004. And a bright young university student, 23 at that time. His name's Johannes. About a year, at least a year into our work, and he got heavily into card magic. He asked me in a session, why is it his grandmother actually didn't like the last routine he had learned from me, because he had performed for her the ambitious card. Now, those magicians, those people into card magic, will recognize the ambitious card as being an effect where you can have a signed card, a card signed, place it into the center of the deck, and then magically it will always rise to the top of the deck. And I asked Johannes how old his grandmother was, and she was a lady in her 70s. And I asked her, what were the symptoms? Did she just say, don't like the trick, I see how you're doing it? And he said, no, she actually asked me to stop performing it because it was making her feel dizzy or unwell. And then this is how I interpreted the situation, although I wasn't there again. I asked him, well, how do you speak to your grandmother? Do you speak to her the same way you talk to me, the same speed, same rhythm? He said, well, no, I slow it down. And I said, well, there's the first thing. You probably performed Ambitious Card in that moment the way you always perform it in front of me in rehearsal. Yeah, I guess I did. Now, I'm reconstructing this, so I might be paraphrasing exactly what he and I said. And I said, well, you have to imagine, she's probably less comfortable watching a movie with really fast cuts like Transformers or Jason Bourne or, with car chases or Jurassic Park. She probably wants to watch a movie that's a lot more like Stanley Kubrick's 2001, where the cuts are a lot longer and the pacing is a lot slower and more comfortable. And what you have to realize is, if you actually performed the Ambitious Card well in that situation, the rate of speech, the rate of visual occurrence happening, never mind the logic and the attention span required to follow the location of a card, was that was rapid fire. So again, this is a case where you sort of have to be aware of who you're performing for. And my last and favorite example for today was back in 2000. I did 2 lecture tours in the UK, in England and Edinburgh, Scotland, and Wales. I did one city as well. And in my British lecture tours in 2004, it was the second one, 2005. Another correction here. My two British lecture tours were in 2004 and 2007. This story took place in the second one in 2007. I presented to one of these magician societies a routine involving toilet paper. Now, to make it look more elegant, I've seen others use paper napkins, serviettes that look like they come out of a restaurant, or pull Kleenexes, tissues out of a box. Just because I could get away with it, I just brought out a roll of toilet paper and was just yanking out pieces, making little white balls of paper, and causing them to vanish in a manner that was most amazing to one audience member who I brought up and was sitting right next to me, whereas the rest of the audience, if I positioned everyone right, would see some parts of my secret moves that this one person up front couldn't see. Now, again, I did it in a humane and friendly way so that it was all in good fun, and they sort of wanted to cooperate and not blow my cover. And then I didn't speak down to this person and make them look embarrassingly dumb. I said, we're having good fun, and your friends are going to tell you in just a minute, but watch this. Ooh, look, it's vanished. Now, the magicians already will recognize which routine I'm talking about. I performed this in my lecture to talk about a few aspects of misdirection, of how you manage the point of mental focus in any given moment. And I had really good timing on this routine, and it illustrated brilliantly my ability to have people look where I want them to look at that particular point in time. And then this group of white British Englishmen took me out to a restaurant afterwards. They'd had a great time. They said, come on, we're taking you out to dinner, Ryan, let's go. We know this great place. They took me to an Indian restaurant where all of the staff, I don't know if they were family or not, but appeared to be from India or Pakistan. I do speak, because I love Bollywood movies, a few basic words of Hindi, but that's it. Other than that, I can sort of recognize the more common languages of Urdu, Punjabi, and Tamil. But I don't really speak the languages, but I can recognize the language. And one day, forgive me for doing this, but just for reasons of illustration, when they talk like this, then I can recognize that they are coming from this region of India or Pakistan, okay? And the president of that local club then said, Ryan, you've got to show them that toilet paper thing. Come on, do it. That's your best thing. That's your best bit, he said, which is your best bit, which is a very British expression, meaning the best thing that you do. And I said, no, can't do that. I got a whole other catalog. I'll show your friends a bunch of card tricks, some coin tricks. I'll not show them the toilet paper. They said, why, Ryan? That's hilarious. It's funny. I said, I'll explain later. And what it was, I did not feel comfortable of taking a person from India or Pakistan, even if they were all friends, bringing him forward physically away from the rest of the restaurant staff team, sitting him in a chair right next to me, and then having this table full of white British guests laughing at his inability to see what I was doing, at his inability to see how the magic was happening. And you have to sort of look at the more global, universal picture of, when was this, 2017? It's over a decade ago, and the very fact that they cannot talk English the same way a person born in the UK can talk, and they just weren't white. They were Indian people from India. Set up an automatic potential dynamic of us and them. And I didn't want the white British guests laughing at one Indian gentleman or Indian lad who I brought forward, and because it would have felt like they were laughing at his expense. Can you picture what I'm talking about? Okay, so those are just a few examples of how important it is to know who you're dealing with. Now, when I go back in time a good 25, 30 years, It used to be in the 80s and 90s, I've experienced it once in Europe in the last 20 years, but it used to be more common that some people just didn't like magic. Some people would say, well, you're insulting my intelligence. And they just would look away or not stay in the room and not want to see magic because they don't enjoy seeing something that they can't explain. It may hurt their ego because they're unable to turn to their girlfriend and say, yeah, I know what he's doing. He's hiding a motor with a magnet and a mirror and a smoke machine in his right hand. But with my experience, as people have gotten smarter, better educated, and more intelligent in many ways, not in every way, but in certain ways, in the last 20 years that I've been living here in Europe, that's less common. Because one common trend I've noticed is that smarter people, engineers, physicists, chemists, computer geniuses love magic on average. I don't meet a lot of them who, for some reason, don't enjoy magic. And although I see this less and less, it used to be sort of the simple man who did not enjoy being fooled by some strange occurrence that he couldn't explain. He felt it as a challenge to his intelligence. Okay, but I believe that's a thing of the past. All right, so that's my talk for today. This is my way of communicating to those who actually care enough to hear me share my thoughts and experience and philosophy regarding magic. And one last thing I'd like to mention why it is I talk about magic but don't teach magic. Again, I should specify here, while I do teach magic to those people who wish to invest in their magic and purchase lessons from me, I don't teach magic in free tutorials posted on YouTube for everyone to access. Teach magic. I am one of those magicians who still follows the magician's code. Yes, we do have an actual code which must be followed by magicians who belong to established official magic organizations or societies which are members of the FISM, or the International Federation of Magic Societies. And this does not allow for magicians to just give out the secret moves or teach how to do tricks in a place like this on YouTube that can just be viewed by anyone. Okay, there are certain rules that apply. And for those who are interested, on the first Behind the Magic, I've gotten now over 2,000 views, which is sort of good within my average of views per video. If the same thing happens with this one in a future episode, maybe the third installation, I will explain the magician's code. Okay, so thanks for watching, guys. Have a nice day, and maybe I'll be better dressed next time.